out on the edge of the wild land, where everything went on forever and was super tough. This young guy who ran a ranch named Silas Brennan stayed all by himself on his family's land, never touched by a lady's help, not ready for what the wild spots would drop right at his front door. When he caught her taking stuff from his storage building in the soft early light, he should have grabbed his gun. But the way she walked, the way she held her shoulders all strong and not backing down, made him stop right there. She was Apache, a fighter, and the stuff she would say to him a few days from then would break down every barrier he put up around his sad, empty heart. What he didn't get was that Nakoa wasn't only after food. And what she didn't get was that the guy who never slept with anyone, watching her from the dark spots, would turn into the one thing scarier than any bad guy her group ever dealt with. Silas had stayed alone for 8 months since his dad passed from a bad sickness, giving him the ranch and only quiet times. He got up each day to nothing, worked the ground till his hands hurt bad, and went to bed hearing just his own breaths. Being alone had turned into something normal for him. He liked how he knew what to expect. Nobody came way out there. Nobody bugged him until that morning he heard noises in his supply building. He picked up his gun from next to the door, his heart beating super fast. Bad guys were seen 2 areas away, guys who killed for way less than a horse. His boots didn't make noise on the hard dirt as he got close to the old wood building. The door was open, moving a bit in the wind. Inside, he saw a dark shape going between the bags of food and saved stuff. Silas lifted the gun, finger right by the trigger. Then the shape stepped into the light coming through the door, and every idea in his head went quiet. She was tall, taller than most girls he ever saw, with black hair and a big braid down her back. Her skin was dark from the sun, her face strong and sharp. She had on leather clothes that looked used a lot, and on her back was a bow with a bag of arrows. An Apache woman alone, taking from his stuff with the chill way of someone who did this a bunch. Their eyes locked, hers were dark, almost black, and they showed no scare, only thinking. She was checking him out, deciding if he was a problem. Her hand didn't go to her bow, but he saw how ready her body was. The tight feel of someone who knew how to kill. Silas should have yelled, should have told her to get off his land, should have shot in the air to warn, but the words stuck in his neck. There was something in her face, something hurt and sad that he knew because he saw it in his own mirror each morning. She turned from him on purpose and grabbed a bag of dry meat, not running, not asking if it's okay. Just taking what she needed like he wasn't there with a gun aimed at her back. His finger let go of the trigger. Wait, the word came out harsher than he meant. She stopped, then slowly looked at him over her shoulder. One eyebrow up like asking or daring. He couldn't tell which. Silas put down the gun. His hands shook and he didn't know if it was from being scared or something totally different. You don't have to take it like that. Her eyes got smaller. She didn't believe him. He could see it in how she stood, but she didn't go either. She stood there with the bag of meat, waiting to see what he would do next, waiting to see if he was another white guy with nice talk and bad plans. He took a step back, giving her room, giving her the chance to run if she wanted. Take what you need. Just don't come back. For a long time she stared at him. Then, without talking, she grabbed 2 more bags, put them over her shoulder with power that shouldn't have shocked him, but did, and walked by him out of the building. So close he could smell sage and smoke on her skin. So close he could see the thin scar by her jaw. She didn't say thanks, didn't look back, just walked to the tree line where the wild started, her steps long and with purpose. He watched till she went into the dark spots between the trees, his heart still beating hard, his head full of questions with no answers. But what Silas didn't see was that 50 steps into the woods, Nakoa stopped. She put down the bags and turned to look back at the ranch house, at the young guy standing still by his supply building. And for the first time in 6 months, something moved in her chest that wasn't sad or mad. It was being curious. And being curious she knew was risky. 3 days went by before Silas saw her again. 3 days of looking behind him, jumping at dark shapes, staying up, wondering if she would come back, wondering if he wanted her to. He was fixing the fence by the east field when he felt it. That tingly feel of being watched. His hands stopped on the rough wood, bits sticking into his palms. He didn't turn around. Didn't want to scare her if it was her. Didn't want to look scared if it wasn't. Slowly, he kept working, pushing the wood post into the tough ground with steady hits from the hammer. Each hit sent shakes up his arms. Sweat went down his back even in the cool morning air. And through it all, he felt those eyes on him. After an hour, he couldn't stand it anymore. He turned. She was standing at the edge of the tree line, maybe 30 steps away, not hiding, just watching. The morning sun hit the shine of her black hair, and even from far, he could see the strong look in her eyes. She wasn't looking at him like a problem. She was checking him out like a puzzle she was trying to figure. Their eyes locked, neither moved. The air between them felt full, heavy with something Silas didn't have words for. His mouth got dry. His pulse got faster in a way that had nothing to do with the hard work. She tilted her head a bit and the side of her mouth went up. Not quite a smile, more like she found something funny. Then she turned and went back into the woods. Silas stood there, hammer loose in his hand, his breath coming quicker than it should. What was she doing? Why come back just to watch? The question went round in his head like birds over dead stuff, messing with his focus for the rest of the day. The next morning, she was there again, this time closer, sitting on a fallen log just past his landline. Arms crossed, watching him fix the gate on the animal pen. She made no try to hide. No acting sneaky, just sat there as bold as the sun coming up. He tried to not notice her. Lasted maybe 10 minutes before his being curious won. He put down his tools and walked toward her, each step feeling heavier than it should. She didn't move, didn't react, just watched him come with those dark, hard-to-read eyes. He stopped at the landline. An unseen wall neither had crossed yet. Up close, he could see stuff he missed before. The way her leather clothes were worn, but kept good. The small, hard spots on her fingers. The way she held herself like a tight spring, ready to jump into action any second. Why do you keep coming back? His voice came out harsher than meant. She didn't answer quick, just looked at him with that same checking gaze. When she finally talked, her English had an accent, but was clear. You're not what I thought. What did you think? Hurting? Being mean? The stuff white guys usually give. She stood, and he saw again how tall she was. Her eyes almost even with his. But you gave me food. You let me go. Why? Silas swallowed hard. The question felt like a trick, but he didn't know how. You looked like you needed it more than I did. Something changed in her face, not getting soft exactly, but the sharp part seemed to fade a bit. You live alone. It wasn't a question, but he nodded anyway. So do I. She said it like a secret, like saying something weak she wasn't used to saying. The quiet went on between them, but it wasn't bad. It was full with stuff neither knew how to say. Silas could smell sage on her again, mixed with leather and something like dirt. Could see the up and down of her chest as she breathed. Could feel the warmth coming off her skin even in the cool air. My name is Silas. She looked at him for another long time. Then Nakoa. The name sat between them like a rock dropped in calm water. Waves going out. She turned to go, but this time she looked back at him before going into the trees. And in that look, Silas saw something that made his belly tight with a mix of scare and waiting. She would be back tomorrow, and he wouldn't be able to stop thinking about her until she was. She came back the next day at noon when the sun was up high and the dark spots shortest. But this time she didn't stay at the tree line. This time she walked right across his land, past the animal pen, past the supply building, right up to where he sat on the porch steps eating a bit of dry meat and old bread. Silas stopped, the bread halfway to his mouth. His heart beat so hard he thought she might hear it. Nakoa stopped 3 FT away, close enough that he had to tilt his head back to see her, close enough that he could see the gold bits in her dark eyes. You are afraid of me, she said. Not a question, just noticing. I'm not, he stopped. Lying seemed no point. Maybe a little. Good. Fear keeps you alive. She sat down beside him on the step, close enough that her shoulder almost touched his almost. The closeness made his skin tingle with knowing. But that is not why your hands shake when I am near. Heat filled his face. He put the bread down suddenly, not hungry. I don't know what you mean. Yes, you do. She turned to look at him all the way, and the straight look in her eyes took away every wall he might have tried to build. You watch me the way a hungry guy watches food, the way a guy in the dry land watches water. Silas's throat closed. He wanted to say no, wanted to get up and walk off, wanted to do anything but sit there under her look, but his body wouldn't do it. Nakoha leaned closer, her breath was warm on his cheek. I have not slept with a guy in 6 months, not since my husband died. Do you know what 6 months of wanting feels like, Silas? The world got small to just them two, just the heat of her body by his, just the low ruff of her voice saying words that lit up every feeling he had. His voice broke. He cleared his throat. Try it again. I wouldn't know. She pulled back a bit, checking his face. Something like getting it showed in her eyes. Then something else. Something that might have been wanting. You have never been with a woman. It wasn't a question, but shame went through him anyway. At 24, he should have done a lot of things. But living out here alone, no town for miles, no neighbors, no one but him and the land and the quiet. No, he said the word barely a whisper. Nakoha's hand came up, fingers following the line of his jaw with a touch so soft it might have been dreamed. Except his skin burned where she touched. That is not something to be ashamed of. Then why do I feel like it is? Because you think it makes you less. Her thumb went across his lower lip and his breath stopped. But maybe it makes you more. Before he could ask what she meant, before he could feel her hands on his skin, she stood quick. Her whole body went tight, head turning toward the east trees. Silas saw it then, what she heard before him. Moving in the woods. Not one person, several. They are looking for me, Nakoha said, her voice gone flat and cold. The woman who had been touching his face was gone, replaced by the fighter he had first seen in his supply building. Her hand went to the knife at her belt. Who, my people? I have been gone too long. She looked down at him, and for the first time he saw something like being sorry in her eyes. They will not understand why I am here. They will not understand you. 3 men came out from the tree line. Apache fighters, weapons ready, faces hard with not trusting. They saw Nakoha standing over him, saw him sitting at her feet. The main fighter's eyes got small, and he yelled something in their words that Silas didn't get, but felt in his belly like a hit. Nakoha answered in the same words, her voice sharp and not backing down. The fighter took a step up, hand tight on his bow. The other 2 spread out around them. Silas stood slow, hands out and empty. His mind went through choices. None of them good. These guys could kill him easy, could burn his ranch and go before anyone knew what happened. And Nakoha, standing between him and them, looked like she was thinking whether to fight or run. The main fighter spoke again, and this time Nakoha's shoulders got tight. Whatever he said, it wasn't asking. It was a order. She turned to look at Silas one last time. In that look was everything they hadn't said. Everything that had been building between them over these few short days, and something else. Something that looked like a promise. Then she walked toward her people, and Silas's hands closed into fists at his sides, every feeling yelling at him to stop her, even though he knew it would mean his death. 2 nights later, Silas woke to the sound of something hitting his window. A small rock, then another. He grabbed his gun and went to the glass, heart beating hard. In the moonlight, he saw her. Nakoha stood in his yard, face hurt along one cheek. Breathing fast, she waved quick toward the house. He didn't think, just ran down and opened the door. She pushed by him, checking the dark behind her. They are coming, not far behind. What happened? I refused to marry the man they picked for me. Said I would pick my own way. She touched the hurt on her face without moving. My brother did this. Said I make our family look bad. Make bad my dead husband's memory. Silas heard it then. Voices far off. The fighters were following her. The cellar under the kitchen. He grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the small door in the floor. It's hidden under the rug. She waited, eyes meeting his. In them he saw something he hadn't seen before. Being open, trust. She nodded and let him take her down into the dark. The space was small, barely high enough to stand, lined with saved food and stuff for winter. Silas went down after her and shut the door above, putting the rug back. Dark took them all. He could hear her breathing quick and not deep, feel the heat of her body in the tight spot. They stood so close that when he moved, his chest touched her shoulder. "They will search the house," she whispered, her breath warm on his neck. "If they find us like this, then we stay quiet." Steps above, heavy boots on his floor. Silas's hand found Nakoha's in the dark, and she held it hard enough to hurt. Her other hand pressed on his chest, and he knew she could feel his heart beating hard on her hand. Voices up, mad, looking, the sound of stuff being moved, glass breaking. They were ripping his house. Nakoha's fingers held his shirt, her body tight on his. In the total black, every other sense got stronger. The sage smell of her hair, the warmth of her skin, the way her breath stopped when his thumb moved on her knuckles without meaning to. Minutes felt like hours. The fighters went through every room, came close to the kitchen twice. Silas held his breath each time, feeling Nakoha do the same. Their bodies pressed closer in the small space. And even with the danger above, even with death so close, he was super aware of every spot where they touched. Finally, the steps went away. Voices got quiet. Quiet sat like dust. But neither moved. Nakoa's head rested on his neck bone now, her breathing more even but still quick. His free hand somehow found her side, fingers spread on the leather of her clothes. "Silas." Her voice was hardly heard. "What you said before about never being with a woman, not the best time for that talk. There may not be another time." She lifted her head, and even in the dark, he could feel the strong look. "They will not stop looking for me. If they find me with you, they will kill us both." "Then why did you come here?" The answer came not in words, but in doing. Her lips found his in the dark, and every idea in his head went away like leaves in wind. She kissed him with a want that took his breath, her hands to his face, his neck, his shoulders. He kissed back without thinking, pulling her closer, tasting need and want on her lips. When she pulled back, they were both breathing hard. "That is why," she said, "because in 6 months of being sad and mad and alone, you are the only thing that has made me feel alive again." "I don't know what I'm doing," he said, voice rough. "Neither do I anymore." Her fingers followed his jaw in the dark. "But I know I cannot go back to my people, and I know I cannot stop thinking about you." Above them, the house was quiet. The fighters were gone, but neither moved to leave the cellar. Not yet. Because in this small, dark space, pressed together with danger all around, something had changed between them that could not be undone. Nakoa stayed. For 3 days she stayed, and Silas's quiet world became something totally different. Something full and alive and scary, and how strong it was. She worked with him without asking, helped fix the fence the fighters broke, carried water from the well, moved with a smart way that showed hard skills to stay alive. And every moment they were together, the air between them got heavier with stuff not said. On the second morning, they were in the barn caring for his 2 horses. Silas reached for the headgear at the same moment Nakoa did, and their hands hit. Both stopped. The touch lasted maybe 2 seconds before they pulled away, but his skin burned where her fingers touched his. "Sorry," he said low, not looking at her eyes. "Do not say sorry for touching me." Her voice had an edge that made him look up. She was watching him with that straight look that took away faking. "Unless you do not want to." "That's not." He stopped, not sure how to end. She stepped closer, close enough that he could see the beat at her neck. "You are afraid of wanting me. Why?" "Because I don't know how to want someone like this." The saying came out real and true. "Everything I know about you says you're risky, that I should send you away, but every time I try to think about you leaving, I can't breathe right." Something got soft in her face. She reached up and touched his face, fingers soft on his cheek. "You think I am not afraid? I am terrified. 6 months ago, I buried the man I thought I would get old with. Swore I would never let anyone close again. And then you show up with your soft hands and softer heart. And I cannot stop myself from wanting things I have no right to want. What things? Instead of saying, she kissed him slower this time than in the cellar. Less needy, more on purpose, learning the shape of his mouth, the taste of him. His hands found her side, pulling her closer, and she made a sound low in her throat that sent heat through his whole body. When they stopped, both breathing hard, she rested her head on his. That I want that. Want to feel something other than sad. Want to remember what it is to be touched with soft instead of just because. And I want he stopped, suddenly shy even after kissing her. Say it. I want to know what it feels like to be with someone, to not be alone anymore. His hands got tighter on her side. But more than that, I want it to be you, not just anyone. You. Nakoa pulled back enough to look at him all. You make it very hard to keep my walls up. Silas Brennan. Good. He shocked himself with the word with the sure feel behind it. Because you've already torn down all of mine. That evening they sat on his porch as the sun went down, shoulders touching, hands held together. Neither talked much. Didn't need to. The quiet was nice, filled with bug sounds and the sometimes call of a night bird. Tell me about him, Silas said finally. Your husband? Nakoha was quiet for a long time. His name was Takakota. Strong hunter. Good man. He died fighting bad guys from our camp. Bled out in my arms while I could do nothing but watch. Her hold on his hand got tighter. The group wants me to honor him by marrying his brother, making sons to keep his family going as if I am stuff to be given. You're not stuff. No, I am not. She turned to look at him. That is why I will not go back, even if it means being hunted. Even if it means she stopped, head turning fast toward the east trees. Silas saw it too. A thin smoke going up against the getting dark sky. Not from one fire, from lots of torches. They have brought more fighters, Nakoa said, voice gone flat. They are not looking anymore. They are coming to take me by force. Silas stood, his heart going down. How many? Too many. She got up by him, hand to the knife at her belt. They will not leave without me. And if you stand in their way, they will kill you without thinking. The torches were getting closer, a line of fire going through the growing dark, coming right for his ranch, coming for her. And Silas knew that in the next few minutes, he would have to make a choice that would change his life forever. 7 fighters came out from the dark, torches making hard shadows on their faces. The main fighter, the same one from before, stepped up. His eyes found Nakoha, then went to Silas with open not liking. He spoke in Apache, his voice going across the yard. Nakoa answered, stepping in front of Silas. Her hand stayed on her knife, but she didn't pull it. The fighter yelled something else, pointing sharp at her. Then at the woods behind him. What's he saying? Silas asked, quiet. That I have made my family look bad. That I made bad Takakota's memory by saying no to his brother. That I must go back now or be said dead to the group. Her voice was steady, but he could see the tight in her shoulders. He says, if I do not come on my own, they will burn this place down with you in it. The fighter spoke again, and this time, Silas caught one word said again, a name. Nakoa's jaw got tight. He says, my brother is waiting. Says, Takot's brother has the right to claim me as his wife. That this is not something to talk about. Silas looked at the 7 armed fighters, looked at the torches, looked at Nakoha, standing stiff by him, caught between 2 worlds. Every feeling he had yelled that he should step back, let her go, save himself. He was just one guy against 7 trained fighters. He had no chance. But when he opened his mouth, different words came out. No, the single word cut through the night. The fighters moved, hands to weapons. Nakoha turned to look at him, eyes wide with something that might have been scare or hope or both. Silas, you cannot. I said, no. He stepped up, putting himself between her and the fighters. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. She stays here because she wants to. Not because I'm making her, not because you're making her. Because she chose to. The main fighter's face got darker. He said something sharp, taking a step up. The other fighters followed, making a half circle around the porch. He says, "You are a fool," Nakoha said, her hand holding the back of his shirt. "One white man cannot stand against Apache fighters. Says your death will mean nothing. Maybe." Silas's heart was beating so hard he thought it might break. "But if dying means she gets to choose her own life, then I'll die. Because that's what good guys do. They stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves. Even when they're scared, even when they know they'll lose." Nakoha made a sound behind him, something between a breath in and a cry. Her hand got tighter on his shirt. The main fighter looked at Silas for a long time. Then he spoke again, but this time his way was different, less mad, almost wanting to know. He asked a question. "He wants to know why you would die for a woman who is not yours," Nako whispered. Silas didn't wait. "Tell him she is mine and I'm hers. Tell him we choose each other." When Nakoa said it, something changed in the fighter's ways. The main fighter's eyes went between Silas and Nakoa, seeing something there that made him stop. He spoke long, his voice hard, but no longer saying hurt. He says Nakoa's voice broke. He says, "If I choose to stay with you, I can never go back. I will be dead to my people. My name will not be spoken. My family will mourn me as if I died. And if I go back, you will be forced to marry Takakota's brother, bear his children, live as his stuff until you die." The choice sat in the air like smoke. Silas could feel the heavy of it pushing on them both. He wanted to tell her to stay, wanted to beg her not to leave, but this had to be her pick. Not his, not her brother's, not her group's, hers. Nakoha was quiet for what felt like forever. Then she stepped up by Silas, her hand finding his and holding tight. She looked at the main fighter and spoke in Apache, her voice clear and strong. The fighter's face got hard. He answered sharp, but Nakoha cut him off with more words. The two of them went back and forth, voices getting louder. Finally, the fighter said something like a bad word and turned away. The other fighters followed, torches going back into the woods. But before the main fighter went away fully, he looked back one last time. Not at Naka, at Silas. And in that look was something that might have been liking. They stood in the yard long after the torches went, hands still held, neither talking. The heavy of what just happened pushed on them both. Nakoha had picked being away, had picked him over everything she ever knew. "You did not have to do that," she said finally, her voice rough. "Stand in front of me like that. You could have died." "I know, then why?" Silas turned to face her all. In the moonlight, he could see tears going down her cheeks. The first time he had seen her cry. "Because 6 months ago I buried my father and thought I would spend the rest of my life alone. Thought that was just what my life would be. Empty, quiet, safe." He reached up and wiped one of her tears with his thumb. "And then you showed up and made me feel things I didn't know I could feel. Made me want things I didn't know how to want. And I realized that safety isn't living. It's just being there." Nakoa closed her eyes, leaning into his touch. "I have given up everything for this. For you, I know. And I'll spend every day making sure you never feel bad about it." She opened her eyes, and the open he saw there took his breath. This strong, tough woman who had faced fighters and refused to bend was looking at him like he was the only strong thing in a world that had just moved under her feet. "Take me inside," she whispered. His heart beat hard on his ribs. "Nakoha, I need to feel something real, something good. I need—" She stopped, swallowing hard. "I need you." They barely made it through the door before she was kissing him. Hands in his hair, body pressed on his with a rush that left no room for waiting. He kissed back without thinking, backing her toward the stairs, tripping over his own feet in his hurry. "Slow down," she said low on his mouth, even as her hands pulled at his shirt. "We have time now. All the time we need." They made it to his bedroom, and suddenly the rush changed into something else, something soft. Nakoha's hands slowed as she opened his shirt, fingers following the flat parts of his chest with a soft that made him shake. He touched her back, messing with the ties of her leather clothes, clumsy but careful. "I don't know what I'm doing," he said, voice shaking. "Neither do I." She held his face in her hands, making him meet her eyes. "My husband and I, we were young when we married. It was what we had to do more than want. quick and useful like everything in our lives. I do not know how to do this slow, how to make it mean something beyond just bodies together. Then we'll figure it out together. What followed was weird and messing up and totally great in its not perfect. Nakoha showed him with calm hands, telling him where to touch, how to move. He learned the map of her body in the dark, every scar and bend and soft spot. She breathed in sharp when he kissed the dip in her neck, curved into him when his hands found her hips. When they finally came together, she made a sound that was half cry, half low sound. And he got this wasn't just body stuff. This was two people alone too long, finding home in each other, finding nice, finding calm. After they lay mixed up, skin wet with sweat, breathing hard. Nakoa's head on his chest, his hand moving slow up and down her back. Neither talked for a long time. 6 months, she said finally, voice quiet. 6 months I thought I would never feel this again. Thought I would carry sad and mad until they killed me. And then you showed up with your soft heart and your hard-to-believe brave and everything changed. Silas pressed a kiss to her hair. I was so afraid, I know. I could feel you shaking. She lifted her head to look at him, and in her eyes was something warm and soft that he had never seen before. But you did it anyway. That is what being brave is. Not no fear, but doing with it. My father used to say that. He was a wise man. She went back on his chest, fingers making lazy shapes on his skin. What happens now, Silas? I cannot go back. My people will not come for me again. But I am alone in this world except for you. Then we build something new together. He held his arms tighter around her. Stay here, help me run this ranch. We'll make it work somehow. You make it sound simple. Maybe it is. Maybe we've both been making it harder than it needs to be by trying to do everything alone. He felt her smile on his chest. Besides, I need someone who actually knows how to fix a fence right. I've been doing it wrong for months. Her laugh was soft and real, and he got it was the first time he heard her really laugh. The sound filled something in him he didn't know was empty. 3 months went by like water through fingers. The ranch that had been Silas's jail of being alone became something else totally. A home, a life, a future he never thought to dream. Nakoha moved through the land with the sure of someone who fit there. She had fixed the fences right, showing Silas ways he never knew. Had made the garden bigger, planting plants and veggies in ways she knew from being a kid. Had turned the empty extra room into a work spot where she made leather stuff they could trade at the far town. Silas watched her one morning from the porch, coffee cup warm in his hands. She was in the animal pen with the horses, her moves smooth and sure as she worked with the horse that had been jumpy since his dad died. Under Nakoha's calm help, the animal was getting calm, learning to trust again. Like him, he was different now. Could feel it in how he held himself. The way he no longer jumped at his own dark. The way he could look at his mirror and see someone who picked brave over safe, who stood up to fighters when every feeling yelled to run, who learned what it meant to really be with another person, body and inside. Nakoha looked up and saw him watching, her mouth curved in that small smile that still made his heart trip. She walked over, going up the porch steps and sitting by him on the bench he built 2 weeks ago. Her shoulder pressed on his in easy way. You are staring again, she said, taking his coffee and taking a sip. Can't help it. Still can't believe you're real. I am very real. She gave back the cup, her fingers staying on his. And I am not going anywhere. They sat in nice quiet, watching the sun go higher. In the far, birds called to each other. The horses moved calm in the pen. Everything was still and right in a way it never was before. Do you feel bad? Silas asked, quiet, giving up everything. Nakoha was quiet for a bit, thinking I gave up a life where I had no say, no pick where I would have been given from one man to another like a thing. She turned to look at him, and her eyes were clear and sure. What I found here is worth more than everything I left. I found free. I found team. I found a man who sees me as same, not a load or a win. I found the same thing. He put down the coffee cup and took her hand in both of his. You saved me, you know. I was just being there, waiting for life to hit me. And then you came into my world and made me see that life only happens if you're brave enough to grab it. She leaned her head on his shoulder. We saved each other. A month later, they stood together in the evening light, looking at the ranch that had grown with their work together. The fences were strong. The garden did great. The horses were healthy and trained good. They had built something real, something that would last. Silas pulled Nakoha close, and she came easy, fitting on him like she always fit there. My father used to tell me that a man's rich isn't in gold or land. It's in the moments that take his breath. And I'm the richest man alive. She laughed, the sound warm and full, and kissed him as the sun made the sky in fire colors. In that kiss was everything they went through, all the scare and brave and pick and what comes after, all the alone that turned into link. They had both been hurt in different ways, both been alone, both stuck by stuff they couldn't control. But together they built something neither could make alone, a life picked free. A love got through being open and trust. And in the end, that was worth more than any place either left. If you like this story, click the video on your screen now to watch another great tale from the edge, where brave and want change lives in ways you never thought. Don't forget to join and think about a super chat to help us keep giving you more stories like these. Your help means everything, too.